This is Dateline, news and conversation. Well, there's a lot going on in the world today. There's a bull in the china closet. His name is Donald Trump. We're going to talk about Donald Trump from a European's point of view. We're going to talk about the EU and the continued sanctions that they have extended on Russia. We're going to talk about whether or not Donald, the bull, Trump, has can make a deal with Putin. And then we'll talk about the billionaire agenda. My guest tonight, she's back from Greece, Maria Nikolakaki. Maria, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, dear Regis. Thank you for this discussion, and I'm grateful for everything that you do.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful for everything you do as well, and you do a great deal. Uh, and there's a lot we have to talk about tonight. The first thing, as I mentioned in the introduction, I would like your take, and if you can even speak for some Europeans,
Mhm.
what has been going on since Donald Trump took office? I guess it was 8 days ago. What do you see unfolding here, Maria? I mean, it is total, to me, a whirlwind, confusion. I mean, hundreds of things that he's posting and doing and executive orders, but how do you see that as a person in Greece?
I think that Donald Trump is a sui generis guy. I mean, he's a very mixed. It's a mixed bag of good and bad things that he's doing right now. The one thing that I think is also the main reason that he got support is that he's against the woke agenda. And so all this nonsense about trans children and trans agendas and bathrooms and sports and all this invention of a different human type which has to be central in society. I mean, this invention of a superhuman type, the transgender, became the central idea of Western societies for the last, let's say, 10 or 15 years. And this actually led to this resistance from people who did not like the idea of colonializing women's spaces and sexualizing children. So he came like a savior to get rid of all this trans agenda. But we need to understand that this trans agenda is was meant to be as a middle path towards transhumanism. And we need to understand that this neutralization of gender types, while by creating like 70 or more different kind of sexual orientations, blurs the line of what it means to be human. And so all this agenda that Trump came to erase was a middle stage towards transhumanism. And you can read Martin Rothblatt's book, From Transgender to Transhumanism. It's free on the internet, where she describes that the cause of transgender is we can use technology as we can accept technology to alter our body and become the opposite sex, and then we can go into the same thing for the connection between humans and robots. this is important that I know it's not geopolitics, but this is very important to understand in order to understand what Trump is doing right now, where he erased that path to transhumanism and he brings it on with types like Elon Musk, who has the Neuralink. Or he also had a discussion with Bill Gates. Bill Gates is a key figure to transhumanism, and he has the quantum dot type 2 that he promotes. So it won't be in your brain, it will be a QR code in your finger, and we can see how people will connect with a machine and they will become transhuman. So we need to understand that what Trump is doing, he's getting rid of the path that was connected with the left to transhumanism, and he's bringing this new path through direct influence. So the first thing that they had to do is to gain trust from the people. And you can see it was Klaus Schwab, like a couple of years ago at Davos meeting, where he said, we need to build trust. And at that time, Bill Gates was supposed to be a villain. And he still is. So he cannot have the role of persuading people to follow the agenda. He's there to frighten people to follow the agenda. Then comes Musk, who follows the agenda, but with another way. So he says, I'm for democracy and free speech and all these nice words. And then you have Trump and J.D. Vance, who are supported by Peter Thiel, Palantir and PayPal and other things like that, who actually says, like most of the oligarchs, he says that we don't need the voting of people because we are the pioneers, and they are democracy is making us pull back. So it's not good. We have to get rid of democracy. And so their agenda directly is what is called technocracy. So Elon Musk and all these people, I mean, he's Elon Musk's grandfather actually was one of the followers of Technocracy Inc. in the 30s. Technocracy Inc. was this movement that was ahead of its time, I think, made by Howard Scott and others, who believed that there is no need for voting. Every time that we buy something, it's like a vote, and if we can have this replacement of recording and replacement of goods. So if I buy one Coca-Cola from this store, it is reported, and then the factory can make another one, so that when I go back to get another one, there will be there in the place. So what is consumed will be constructed. So they thought that the best way to rule the world was through scientists, not politicians. Democracy is over. And so we need not votes, but we need to record everything that is consumed. And that at that time in the 1930s, I mean, started 1918, um, and by the late 1930s, it's a long story, but it started to fade away. So, but now it was Zbigniew Brzezinski who, in the 1970s, wrote this book about between two ages, the technotronic era, and they brought in this. He wrote there that technocracy is the ideal way to govern. So I don't want to I want to clear up what I've said. Um, it's Trump with Musk, with Peter Thiel, and all these techno guys, which were there when he was inaugurated. They are in support of technocracy to replace democracy. Once we understand this, that all this woke agenda is over, but now we have another threat on our heads, technocracy, and they want this way to go into building the matrix for us, going to transhumanism. Then I think there we can understand what Trump is all about. All this mixed bag, I think, concludes to these observations.
Well, you mentioned a couple of things that I'm going to follow up on. You kept mentioning agenda. You mentioned they need to create a sense of trust in the people so the people will follow. And this is what many of the things that Trump has been saying and doing was meant to do. And it's obvious that it works because he's got millions of people who are fervent believers in he's the savior, the one who's going to make America great again. But behind all of that is an agenda, and I think you spelled it out very well. We've talked about transhumanism and technocracy several times before, Maria, and I want to mention a couple of things. um, this whole thing about trust and getting rid of all of these woke agendas. And Trump said, in America, we're male and female, and we're cleaning out all of this trash from the military. And, COVID, I'm reinstating all of those soldiers who resisted and were thrown out of the military because they refused to take the vaccination. This appeals to millions of people, but I think another way of saying agenda is what they've used for centuries is deception. They deceive us, the people. Well, all of these agendas, which go back to what is the age old mission of any empire, is to divide and conquer. They're using it again, but now they've clothed it in this new language that is deceiving people, is hiding the agenda that's really going on. And I'm so glad you brought that out. In my introduction, I said the fourth thing we were going to talk about was the billionaires. Well, you brought it up, so we're going to continue on that strain. I watched his inauguration and I took copious notes, which I later analyzed. And I watched and listened to a number of other people who were analyzing what's going on. But one of the things that struck me was behind Trump to his right, our left, as we watched on television, were the billionaires Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, the woman, I don't remember what her name is, and there were others. And they kept showing these people. And then on the 21st, a video was published with Trump announcing a $500 billion investment in artificial intelligence with Larry Ellison and two other billionaires next to him making the announcement. Maria, That's the agenda. That is the agenda. It is it's about world domination. I'm going to let you talk to that in just a second. But that's been the agenda for a long time. And the reason for this war in Ukraine, the reason for wars in the Middle East, the reason for chaos and undermining of governments throughout Europe and South Africa and Central and South America, this is all part of the agenda to create chaos, disable and dismember society so that world domination, and you mentioned Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, the meetings at Davos, that's what that's all about, is it not? The agenda for complete total domination of the world. And that's what all of this stuff to join humans with machines, as you just described so eloquently, is all about. Your thoughts on the world domination agenda, because I think that's what it's all about.
Exactly. I think we need to understand that they need this technology, energy resources, and all these developments to create the matrix. So you see that Trump opened this meeting with Sam Altman and Larry Ellison. Sam Altman was from OpenAI, and Larry Ellison was from Oracle, and then there was Japan's software CEO there. And what did they do? They started. They did. What is interesting is that the media didn't focus on what the idea is. It's about creating AI to control us, to control people. First of all, in US, that's the thing. That first of all, the victims of this matrix would be the American people, and so what they want to do is to create such AI, first of all, to monitor us, build smart cities. We see fires here, there, bringing whole cities to the ground in order to replace all these areas with smart cities. We see lots of many attempts again and again and again to bring in jabs that will install us in us all these graphene and nanobots that they need to control the body and as Harari said, we don't care where you are and what you say. We know that. We want to know what's under the skin. So we have this agenda that they are pushing now very drastically. Of course, there are contradictions here. We saw Musk saying that the money is not there. It's not 500 billion. Then Trump said it's only 100 billion, but they will replicate the money. Sam Altman said that Japan's SoftBank has only 10 billion. So it's a rough start overall. But you know what? The roughest part of it just happened yesterday. And it was brilliant. With Chinese DeepSeek that was released, and it's a free open source AI that has a different kind of system that you can compare with Linux for your computer. It has this kind of system that you can adapt to your own measures. So it's not a generative thing that has a central control. And it also is much more effective than ChatGPT and OpenAI, and it was made with a fraction of what all these oligarchs, tech oligarchs, are using in order to create all these things. So this, um, the DeepSeek AI, which is a weapon on our side, because we won't need we won't be controlled by paying to the oligarchs or being monitored when we use all this technology. And and also, if what I read is correct, we need some time to digest all this information. But it because it has lower technology involved. I mean, it has a chip HS800 from NVIDIA, which is a very simple chip. It doesn't need so much water. It doesn't need so much energy as all these superpower AI machines need.
Maria,
So
let me jump in. Let me jump in and ask you this. I read the same thing about DeepSeek, the Chinese new AI, and you said it's really significant. I need you to explain and help me understand because I'm a novice here. Do you see this as a Chinese counteroffensive to what Trump just introduced, the Trump agenda, or do you think it's part of the same agenda?
I think it is a counteroffensive because, I mean, if you saw, first of all, if you saw the stock markets yesterday, they crumbled. U.S. stock market lost 1.2 trillion dollars yesterday. So it's and what it just showed that you don't need all these expensive chips and all these things to create AI. I think that we need to understand that technology per se is not good or bad. The use of technology is good or bad, and it depends on who has this technology in its use to see to call it if it's good or bad. So if the ruling class, all these tech billionaires, the psychopaths, um, use AI, then they want to use it to control us. That's a fact. There is no doubt about it. But if we can use technology, AI, to create new things, to create more our defenses, uh, then it's in our hands to make it a good thing. I mean, you can use all those 3D printers to create synthetic meat, which is cancerous. But you can use this technology to create houses for the homeless. So that's the thing. I think we need to um, um, overpass our phobia, which they have installed because they control the all this technology, and try to create our defense by using technology. We won't be able to do anything if we just go to the mountains and get stones and rocks to throw back at them.
Yeah.
I
So
think
Maria, um, okay, China has had some kind of technology where they have social control. That people are monitored somehow. If they do good things, they're rewarded. If they do bad things against the government or break the law, they get their social credit reduced. So I'm not sure how I see the Chinese technology freeing us when, from what I understand, the Chinese government already pretty much has total control of all of their people, knowing exactly what they're doing. Cameras everywhere, and the credit cards or debit cards that the government knows everything they do, what they spend on, how much they spend. Is this not really total domination? I don't see how it frees us if China's the model.
First of all, this is not a Chinese government project, right? It's a startup that was made by, let's say, some 100 or so young men, mostly men, young people. The chair is Liang Wenfeng, who is a 30-year-old tech nerd, and so it has nothing to do with what Chinese government does. On the other hand, we also need to see that China has a different mentality as a society, and we don't want to become China, and they don't want us to become China. But in their social norms, this is accepted. It is accepted, first of all, because it's a collective society, and they all work together. It is accepted because most of the things that you get rewarded or punished for are social norms that exist in Chinese society. It's not about um, uh, excessive things, but if you have to, like, one of the rules is you have to take care of your parents. It's something that goes in the Chinese society, and most people, Chinese people, do it by themselves. But now, if there are some exceptions that don't want to take care of their parents, it's a norm that you have to take care of your parents, because it's not accepted by Chinese society that you leave your parents alone. So it's a different kind of society, different norms, and then they have seen that it goes with all the Marxist idealism of technology. Also, let's not forget. And it also goes into the whole picture of improving their lives over the last 50 or so years. So in these 50 years that China has followed this path, it has become a superpower. It has lifted most people out of poverty, of extreme poverty. Their wages, which in 1975 were like for a full year were $1,500, have become the medium wages of Europe or something. They have and they live a quality life to what happened to them 50 years ago. But they have the Communist Party, which is a regulator. So if people start to feel unrest, then it's like a valve that will open for and stop measures that people are strongly against. It's another society, I think, that we should not compare with the West. Now, in the West, first of all, we have different main priorities, main values. I don't know how to call it. I think we need to see that free speech in USA, for example, was regarded the basic value that that needs to be cherished. So I saw this research, and it was 67% thought that food and being able to have enough on your plate was the first priority, and then the second priority for USA was free speech.
Maria, we've been talking about the difference in societies between China and the United States. You were talking about basic values in the United States being democracy and free speech. As an American, I've come to believe that those are illusions or delusions. I don't think we've ever had real democracy or real free speech. And certainly, if we look around today for the last 10 or 15 years, uh, there is no free speech. People who speak the truth are persecuted. They're jailed, they're assassinated, they're suicided, whatever you want to call it. So I want to come back to what we were talking about, agenda. Maria, to me, it looks like there's an agenda that is becoming clearer almost by the day. We talked about AI, but we talked about the real agenda is using technocracy, artificial intelligence, to dominate and control the world. Would you agree with that much?
Of course, absolutely. I think we need to see how the oligarchs want to use the means that they have in their hands, which is technology, to actually loot and destroy all the middle class and the upper lower class, and to actually create a society where they will feel more safe, that no one can overthrow them. That's the goal of what they are trying to do. So, what they want to do is to control our brain. The brain is the battlefield that we are experiencing right now, and that is what we have in hand. That is why people like you or me or others are being fact checked and censored or attacked, uh, in order to make us feel afraid and turn us into silence. So this is a great battle that is going on, and humanity, I believe, is understanding this more and more as time goes by. And in my perception, I think that the COVID pandemic that they brought on us actually destroyed any trust that we had to the state, to the oligarchy, to their institutions, to globalization as a phenomenon. And we can see that people have started to resist more and more. It is a war between humanity and the global oligarchy. And that is a basic understanding that we all need to make in order to know where we are and how to fight back.
Yeah, good points. You keep mentioning the oligarchy. Um, you know, that could refer to several layers of oligarchs. There's a hierarchy, I think. We can, for example, call Trump an oligarch. We could possibly call uh, a number of individuals, maybe mostly Jewish, in Russia and Ukraine who are oligarchs. They are extremely wealthy people. But I wonder if you agree with me that above them in the hierarchy there are some who are beginning to be named, and they are the international bankers, the ones who control the money system, who control usury, the debt system that has enslaved most of the planet. The name that is mentioned most often is the Rothschilds. And I think for me, it's important that more and more people are beginning to understand that there are names that are controlling the money system, but are also, their agenda has been for centuries to control and dominate the entire planet. Now, you'd mentioned the term psychopaths. These people certainly do not seem to have any sense of empathy or compassion or love for people, for animals, for the environment, for the planet, for nothing, because at their hands, any person with his or her eyes open can see that this greed, this money, this consumption of resources is destroying the planet. And so I don't even think it's insanity. I think we have to call it what it is, and that's evil. Your thoughts?
Of course, and this train rail of power that has, as you said, been obvious for 200 or 300 years, has impact on how they all countries have been indebted to these bankers. And I come from Greece, and my country was destroyed by creating a debt that did not exist. It was created on paper and on digital numbers, I should say. And the thing is that once you are indebted, then they have control over you. It's usury. And this is going on all over the world, actually. We must see how US has a debt of 36 trillion right now. That's more than 100% of the GDP. So actually, all this money has been created by the Fed. The Fed, which is a private institution, most people think that it belongs to the state. It's a private institution owned by these oligarchs of money, and they try to they make profit by lending the state. Every time they lend USA, every time USA prints money, they get a portion from the tax rates. So we must understand that. I mean, Marx did a good job in describing how capitalism works and how the surplus value is created by the workers. But we need to understand that above the industrialists, we have the bankers. And it's imperialism of money. And this has been going on for centuries. And that is why we need to start naming names, because this is the time that we need to be bold and describe the situation so that people can understand what is going on. Otherwise, we'll be left in the dark and we will become transhuman. We will trust, like Elon Musk, who says freedom of speech, but freedom of speech as long as it controls our mind and what we think. So whatever we say we will be free to say it, but the point is that we won't be able to think in a different manner things. And that is the absolute slavery of human beings. If anything else, we must say that God gave us free will, and free will is a basic human, not even right. It's essence of being a human being, and these people come to destroy free will in order to create this slave being that will be controlled through technology. So technology right now in the hands of the oligarchy is a way of enslavement of humanity in their specific ideal of what they want as serfs in this techno-feudal new condition that they are trying to push us in.
Yeah. And I think what's happening uh, across the EU and in the United States is the destruction of society. I mean, I think you can see it in the United States, although even though Trump says they're going to make America great again, what's really happening is the destruction of the United States as an empire, because I think these bankers don't need it anymore. They've got everything they need out of it. And now, as Klaus Schwab and Harari and these 1,000 corporate CEOs that go to Davos every year, I think they feel they've almost won. I think they feel they're so close. You mentioned the battle is for our minds, and I agree. It's psychological operations. It's intellectual information warfare, which is more powerful than military warfare. It kills millions of people, but when you contaminate the brain, you are killing billions of people. And that's what I think they've done, almost completed around the world. The other thing, Maria, that they're doing is they're destroying our souls. They're destroying what I would call pure religion, pure awareness of who we are as human beings in relationship and connection to all creation, plants, animals, the universe. They they want to destroy this spiritual dimension that we call soul, which I think you and I would agree is the essence of everything. We're just living in a particular dimension with physical bodies. But the ancient peoples, the original peoples of the earth, knew that there were spiritual realities and that their ancestors were still with them. And that when they died in this human body, they transformed or were transported to a different dimension. These psychopaths, these bankers are trying to destroy all of that. Would you agree?
Of course, and we can see how all this culture is based on material things and pornography and objectification of human bodies, and all this culture is actually the most destructive culture that reminds us only of Sodom and Gomorrah back in the Bible. I think that we need to see that they cannot go to our soul. They have done every kind of research with it, with CERN, finding the God's particle, and with quantum technology, trying to measure how much a soul weighs. They try to make different theories about what the soul is, But this is absolutely nonsense. Absolutely nonsense. I mean, what they also have done is that they have killed God in the perception of people. So they have many people have turned totally materialistic. And I think that the higher values of being a human is within the soul, and it is not part of the body. It's the body is the house of the soul, and if we cannot understand these basic concepts at this time of history, we will go up to the Babel Tower that they are building, and we will be destroyed. So we need at this time to talk about all the spirituality that comes with being a human being, and actually all the love and kindness that goes with a human being. I do believe that humans are kind, and they are caring, and of course there are exceptions that come from mainly the materialistic surroundings that one is brought up with, and the traumas that one gets through all these experiences in this travel on the this life. But we must understand that our purpose here is to cultivate our soul with more love and more openness and human centrism and solidarity and empathy, and that it is this which they really hate. They don't want us to be in communion with other people. They don't want us to have connections with other people. I mean, I was talking to a friend about this today, actually, so I will mention it again. In Brave New World, which is Aldous Huxley. Huxley, we must see Aldous Huxley and Julian Huxley, which was the one who, with Rockefeller, made UNICEF. They were under the eugenicists' mindset. Their grandfather, Thomas Huxley, was the founder of the X Club, which reminds us a bit from what Elon Musk is calling his Twitter company. So they were insiders of the eugenicist movement, and there you see 5 different human types: alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and epsilon was like the working class, the ones who did all the dirty work, and they were inferior to all the others, also by their body type. But the point was that they, in that society, love, sexual love, was not allowed. You had to replace mates every day so that you won't connect your soul with another being, because 1 and 1 is more than 2. It's being in love means you multiply your powers and you become leveled up. So I think this we need to see all this agenda that has been there to destroy human kindness, human solidarity, religions that relate and teach that, and turn people into a villain that destroys society from within. This is the plan that they have been pursuing for decades now. We can see that, and also make our body sick, because and make us change our gender, or feed us with all this toxic food, and use all these jabs that they want to put in our body. So if we want to discuss the whole challenge of our times, is how we stay human, how we remain human despite all the war that they are having against us. I think
Yeah.
this is very important to understand.
Yeah. Very well said. I think we're not talking about religion here, are we? We're talking about spirituality, a spiritual awareness of who we are as humans, connected with the rest of creation. You know, you mentioned human qualities of love, compassion, solidarity, empathy. These same characteristics are found in most animals, mammals. It's undeniable. I mean, we've seen so many examples of this within different species of animals, whether it be wolves or gorillas or dolphins, or dogs or cats. I think this is part of what it means to be part of creation, to be one with the universe, to be one with, if you want, call it God. And this is what these people are trying to destroy. And Maria, I believe it's not just centuries. I believe as you go back and read the Bible, you can see stories of this attempt to destroy everything that was human. You mentioned Sodom and Gomorrah. You mentioned the Tower of Babel. You can go back further and further in prehistoric or primitive civilizations. The story has been there the whole way. Now, Maria,
If I may say something on this,
of course, it's your show.
I just in Greek mythology, we have the story about a crone who was eating his own children because he didn't want to leave his power. And so Rhea, which was his wife, hid Zeus so he wouldn't kill him. He was swallowing his children. So then Zeus came back, and he killed Cron, his father. And so this mythology goes to reflect how the hierarchy and the horizontal democracy was smashed back then, and Crone actually in the planets is Saturn, and from Saturn comes Satan. So you can see that this goes way back into Greek mythology, and Greek like ancient Greek writers use the word chronitis, which was the resemblance of evil. So it goes back, as you said, thousands of years, but now it is actually much more apparent around us. And it maybe we can even say, Regis, just for to give some optimism to people, that maybe it is the first time in human history where things are being unveiled and people have started to see and understand the fight between good and evil. So I think that we can and we must and we will, because there is we cannot be defeated in this battle. um, I think that humanity will prevail because we have also God on our side.
You know, a good friend of mine, uh, Linda Williams, is a Native American woman of the Penobscot tribe in the state of Maine, where I'm from. And I interviewed her for one of my films, and she described this time that we're in is unique in all of history, perhaps, because she likened to be like being in the long, dark birth canal where
Mm.
a new beginning is happening, and that soon everything that was hidden will be in the light, will be exposed. And this was her Native American spiritual way or understanding of describing what's happening to us today. Very similar to what you just said.
The Greek, the Greek concept of what is happening with the ancient Greek mythology and all the Greek concept is actually just the same. Yes.
You know, I have to ask you as a Greek, um, you know, we've got American myths that are nothing compared to Greek and Roman mythology. But I have come to believe and understand, now I may be totally wrong, but I think mythology is not made up fantasy stories. I think mythology, it's misunderstood. These are understandings that have been preserved from ancient civilizations in stories and even in primitive writing, recordings of these things. And so mythology um, really is a depiction of what is actually happening in the human experience. Do you think I'm totally off the planet here?
Absolutely, absolutely. All human wisdom is coded into myths. So when you start decoding it, especially I'm talking about the Greek mythology. It's about the words that are used. The Greek language has etymology, so you can understand the meaning because the concept is included in the word. Like democracy is demos, which is the people, and krasi, kratos, which is power. Power of the people is democracy. So, and if you start unraveling all the Greek mythology, then you have the wisdom of humankind. It is no coincidence that Greek mythology is not taught in Greek educational system except in the third grade, 8, 9 years old. It is taught as if it's fairy tales, while it's an encyclopedia of human knowledge.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. I really think I've come to understand it that way, but you articulated it very well. Maria, I had wanted to talk about some other things, you know, Trump making a deal with Putin, you know, Kacha Kallas, and the EU extending the sanctions on Russia, but all of that seems to be pretty insignificant in light of what you and I have been talking about, this other agenda, this transhumanistic, technocratic agenda, which I think, I hope we've been making clearer and clearer for more and more people to understand. Maria, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Professor. Um, we've got to do this more often
Yes.
because I think the road we're on in 2025, on the one hand, is extremely perilous and dangerous. But on the other hand, a period of time, as you've been saying, of great awakening.
I think yes. It is a pleasure, but also I feel it that we have an obligation, those people like us who understand things more, to spill the beans, let's say, to people. And even if one person is persuaded, that's a great gain. And I think I also agree that 2025 will be a very critical year for where we will turn to. Will it be transhumanism or will it be humanism? And we have to give this battle. There is no greater stake at risk than being a human being. This is the uttermost crucial time in human history. We are here to fight the battle for good.